Welcome everyone, it's Brian from Captain Savage Aquatics, just doing a quick update video on me cleaning out the 25 Bowfront and moving plants from the Bowfront into other tanks. Stay tuned. The other phone, I got some other video footage. This you couldn't see through this at all. I got a lot of the duckweed off of here. I got a melon sword that was hurting. This sword that's hurting, I'm gonna do a gravel vac later when I get home from work today. I did squeeze out one of those filters out of the 20 sponge filter, but this you couldn't even see, light couldn't even get it in here, so you couldn't see down here, but you can see the shrimp. Now that was my biggest fear, is the shrimp that's in this tank. With the amount of Java moss I just took out of this, there is still Java in here. I left a chunk of it, but there's also a lot of Naha grass. Now, my problem is if any of the Java moss contained little shrimplets, they might have went to other tanks. Hopefully not. So let's show you a side view. Sorry if it's, yeah, let me actually I'll just do it like this because it's easier. I don't know if that's upside down. Actually, hold on, let me do it this way. Sorry for shaking. I am going to top this off, but that's the side view of the tank. Pretty nice. That melon plant will perk right back up. It was melting back. So let me twist us back this way. So what's in here is fancy guppies, cherry red shrimp. I don't know how many are left in here. Snowball shrimp, blue velvets, and I got the 20 gallon per hour sponge filter in here, which was more than enough with the amount of plants in here and based on stocking. Plus, some of the I ended up scooping some of the guppies out when I was taking duckweed out. So unfortunately, when I put the duckweed, if you can see the 125, it's quite dark over there, even with that almost like 3400 lume light. Light's penetrating, but not much. I also cleaned this off because it was really dirty. So yeah, that's what I did over here. Just a quick view of the side. There is shrimp in there. That looks like possibly light blue velvet or snowball. So whatever shrimp made it, I'm hoping it did make it. Now, obviously you can see Molly sitting right here in the corner. Sorry for the lighting and how dirty this tank is. She's been thumping this. I put a huge chunk, the last two big chunks in this tank. So I literally, if I were to spread it out, I probably could cover the 20 long almost from top to bottom with how much I just pulled out of that Bowfront. So there may be shrimp in there that the Africans will get. Same with this. I put a couple clumps in here. I think there's like 3 or 4 decent sized clumps. Obviously that's more of a predator tank. Sorry for the light. So that was done. I also went in here and scooped a lot of duckweed out of here. And here. So I might have lost some shrimp in the transfer, but you know, that's to be expected. But I'm thinking they'll do a lot better with a lot more light. But I could be wrong. They might like a lot of light, but you can tell how much duckweed's in here. Now the goldfish will wipe out the duckweed. They really won't eat the like that one just did, where it saw shrimp. I don't know, and it just spat it out. There is some convicts in here, 3 or 4 that are hiding along the rocks because they know better. If they go high, they're going to be done. Now that goldfish could be eating shrimp because it keeps going towards the top. Sorry for the glare. I'm going to ultimately, once this duckweed clears up, I'm going to go try and get some of this Java moss to stick to some of these branches, whether I glue it, take the whole that stump out and the other branches and stuff. This I got like 2 years ago at this point, this log or stump, and I got a branch from the water, so I'm going to do some more wood collecting. There's Mopani driftwood in here and manzanite wood, heavy woods that take forever to break down. I'm going to rescape this tank, but I wanted to show you the drastic transformation. You'll see it from the beginning. Now, I know I got a lot of Naha grass in here. There is plenty of Java moss in here, but believe it or not, the Java moss will take over this tank and literally block the Naha grass out. Like, this Naha grass happened to this be left from the Java moss that I pulled out. So, or guppy grass. I mean, it's Naha or guppy grass. So that's that tank. I like how much I can see in there. I'm tempted to go in there and pull off some of the leaves from the melon plant, but I'm not going to do that. If you're wondering what these porous stones are, that's a Continuum product. If I remember correctly, it was like almost like a lava rock type material, but what it came in is like literally a bottle slightly bigger than this, but it said it could do up to 100 gallons per, I think, 2 bottles. So I think those stones are 50 gallons, possibly, or maybe even 20. Either way, there's still enough filtration with that 20 sponge filter in there, with what plants are in here still. I mean, you can see these are established. I might try and get that a little bit deeper. I do have Eco Complete, and this is a stratum. I can't remember if it's fluval stratum or shrimp stratum, you know what I mean, for shrimp tanks. So let's see. Sorry, I'm kind of close. I know there's a lot of dead stuff. This used to be the old DIY sponge filter that I used to use. Instead of that, that worked great. I just left that in the tank to keep the tank seated while this new sponge filter took over. Not that I needed to with the amount of plants that were in there. So, let me see. I'll give you a side view. Sorry. I'm going to try. I'll edit out some of these parts, but that's the side of the tank. I had to turn this down because, believe it or not, this thermometer right here was reading 80 in here, so I turned it down a little bit because I don't need the guppies to go nuts. They'll get better breeding out of it, plus it's better for the shrimp. So let me show you over here. I know this tank will probably still look a little dark. I'm kind of doing this a bunch of different tanks, but I know I got some mulm, but I got these pieces of wood. There is plenty of shrimp in here. I reset that. I squeezed that filter out this time. I'll do that in a week or two. This filter I squeezed out. I actually added the first big 2 portion to this tank and added some of this duckweed in here that I took off the top of this tank, this in there. But most of this duckweed, even though it looks like a lot still, I took probably 3 or 4 good 6x6 scoops out and put them in here. So I'm hoping with the amount of duckweed that's there and Java moss, any shrimp that are in here will be able to hide. Like, there's one of the big chunks. Sorry for the dirty glass. I've been wiping this down, but it still shows. But there's the other chunk. This 220, believe it or not, is working fantastic. Don't mind this. I'm going to set this up as a possible tank. That used to be my old sump. And let me just move these out. So I got the Fluval FX4, which I haven't cleaned yet. I mean, I just have a pre-filter down there. But I'm sure a lot of debris got in there, so I'm probably going to clean that out because I set that up when I started last streaming 4 or 5 months ago. I know you don't have to check them but once or twice a year. And the rest of the bulk of this stuff went to this tank. I just figured with the Java moss being in here, this is the same 5K light or 4K light that I had on the 25 Bowfront. This is the different one, just like that one is, in between the tanks. I want to get strip lighting above, but for an LED, it's doing fine. This, I might make this, because it's like green hair algae, I might see if I can't move some shrimp in there. If I can knock about half that back, that hair algae, because if I'm thinking of doing it for profit, sell some shrimp. Now, each of these tanks have shrimp in here. I know guppies can pick off the shrimplets, but if there's enough cover even for the guppy fry, the shrimp will be okay. So pretty much every tank I have shrimp in, besides the main predator tanks. I did put a couple big chunks into the 75 over there to give them more hiding. Sorry for this light. Let me actually just take it down so you guys can see a little bit better and get it behind the phone. So you can see it's giving them a little bit more of a hiding spot. Plus there's that high fin plecto I have still yet to take out of here. Molly's looking for it. I'm going to clean this tank up, maybe get some more cichlid sand in here, and I'm going to get quite a bit more rock. I'm just going to stop along the side of the road or maybe go down to the quarry. But since this is temporarily sitting here, I'm going to... Actually, I'm just going to put this back because I liked how that was there. Just, believe it or not, the grading this sits on the side of the tank right there. I know Java moss does not need that much stuff. Looks like I got some pearl weed right there. That does need more light. I put a bunch of different plants in that 25 Bowfront. Here's this little shrimp tank. Let me see if I can't zoom in on that little shrimp. You can see him. There is shrimplets in there. So that almost looks like, I want to say a cherry red. Not a high quality one, but still not a bad one either way. Or that's a snowball, because I did put snowballs, but it's got hairline red streaks, so I wouldn't be surprised. I just got guppy grass in here, some other mosses. I know there's, I want to say 15 or at least 10 or 15 bigger shrimp in here, but there is shrimplets in here. I'm going to clean some more. See, there's another shrimp right there if I move my big fat hand out of the way. That's definitely looks like a snowball based on the white background, or maybe a cherry red shrimp. I could just be freaking them out how close I am to the tank. Now all this has is this the hang on back or whatever with the internal filter, and I'm just running pinky floss or filter floss in that, and I literally take it out every couple weeks, strain it out, and I'll run it for 2 or 3 months that way. Let's see what else is going on. Alright. I want to make sure the autofocus is on. There we go. Autofocus. That helps. So, sorry for the glare. I know you can see all that. You can see my monitor with my turtles that I used to have. Fortunately, I lost my last bollard shark. It looked pretty bad in there. So the last few days I've been treating, or this was swimming weird. Not so much a swim bladder issue, so I retreated the tank just to be safe with ICX, General Cure, erythromycin, levamisole, Prozipro, you know, a bunch of different ones. I know I probably had some overlap there, but I did a little lighter than recommended except for the levamisole in that tank, so I gotta actually do a water change when I get home from work tonight, again, for the ICX. Not that the guys have ick, I don't see anything, but I'm thinking for the flukes and stuff. And here we got some of the fancy guppies. Sorry for any glare that you may have. Let me see if I can't just take this down and put it behind the camera like I was doing before. So there's some of the fancy guppies. Much better look at them now. I gotta top this tank off. I used to have a 10 or 14K light on there, but it was this taking up too much of the tank, and had it was like in one of those aquacultures. But I'm just using this light because I think it'll be okay for now. Twist that down a little bit. So there you go. Then I got that light. I know it's obstructed a little bit, but that's a Marine Land 10K light. That was one of the kits, 10-gallon kits. Just trying to think what else can I show you guys. I know I do a lot of update videos. Just waiting to save a little bit of money to build some stands and go from there. And there is a little convict. You can see him up by the filter. I know it's bad lighting. I want to get a strip lighter and make a DIY strip light for myself under here. And I could even put on this angle iron, let me show you. Sorry if it gets blurry. On this angle iron right here, I could put LED strip because this is steel, so that'll translate heat. And I could run the battery pack right here or something on the inside. And let's have light shining in, or I'll just put it on this wood. I mean, the LEDs don't generate that much heat. I could always get a thin aluminum back to it. This tank up here, I took the one fancy guppy out of. I want to get these two tanks going. If I'm not going to get them going, I'm going to tear it down and put something in its place. I don't know what yet. Maybe I'll, if I get another light, or I know I get another corner filter that I haven't set up. It's sitting right there. Maybe I'll put it in this tank and move some shrimp in there. I need to get some filtration going in there. Or otherwise, like I said, I'll put shrimp in there and then I'll put a sponge filter. And believe it or not, most of these don't have lids, but these were filled up at different times when I topped these 3 tanks off, right? And believe it or not, with that air gap right there, these take a while to drop, even with the AC being on. To, you know what I mean, due to evaporation, loose stuff. Now, I do have to clean that sponge filter, because that was the first one I set up, and I ran it for like 2, 3, 4 weeks before putting the other ones in, because I had a lot of hang-on backs. And, let's see. I adjusted the flow on the airlines here. As you can see, that thing's on right now, warming up the water. I used to have a thermometer right here where it's battery operated, but you had to keep it within this line because it would transfer the heat. But this thing's running right around 77, 78, right where I want it. Even if it was at 80, I'd be okay. I did move the Marineland hang-on back filter that will do 20 or 30 up to a 20 or 30 gallon tank in there. Plus that filter is a 20 gallon plus filter, and I'm going to set up the other one. I'm just cleaning it, the other filter back up in there. These fish have been in here so long that this tank's been stabilized, so I haven't seen any issues, and actually, like, knock on wood. Texas is doing great. I want to get some more African cichlids in here, but I want to re-aquascape this and rock it. I actually got all the glass because I lost my like one of my newer heaters. If you see right here, Molly, move. That burn on the floor, Molly or I got hooked it when I wasn't paying attention, and I pulled the heater out of the tank and I wasn't thinking, and I threw it back in, so it cracked the glass. But it actually had an auto shut off, so if I just unplugged it, or the auto shut off should have worked. I just got to send it back to the man. It was one of the ones, I think a Eheim or a Fluval one that had the auto protection. That way, if it sensed it's out of water, it heats up real quick, and it was supposed to shut off. So unfortunately, before the shutoff even kicked in, it burned the rug right there. That was last year, or maybe a year and a half ago. At this point, my landlord's not worried about it because this is just the throw carpet he put in for on the cheap. He said he's replaced this every time people move out, just cause. So yeah. I told him I would replace it, no big deal. He's not worried about it though, so I'm good with it. I like actually having the Java moss in here, and the African cichlids won't really mess with it. I just don't know how many shrimplets ended up getting stuck in here. Slightly higher pH, and that was a plop and drop, so. But honestly, it's all the same water from the faucet. This different pHs. This tank's probably, if I remember correctly, I haven't tested the pH in a while. I only really do it if I start to notice stuff going wrong with the fish, because lately I've been really paying attention to them. So last time I checked, and I'm pretty sure it's still holding true, I have a pH meter, digital one, that'll tell me. This was sitting at like a 7.2, 7.3, which is fine, pretty close to neutral. Most of these tanks are right at the same, maybe slightly higher in the guppy tanks, because I do have crushed coral, so it buffers a little bit more. And with the snail tanks, since they need the calcium, I usually put a crushed coral base or some type of rock or something that can hold the pH stable and hardness, the hardness up. Now I'm gonna get some mineral rocks from here. This is sand, but I did put a little bit of crushed coral, like a handful from this tank in here. This to help with the the hardness and keep their shells forming appropriately for the shrimp. You can see when it autofocuses it right there. Yeah, now that I look at it close, it looks like a red. It's not a deep dark red one, but it looks like a pretty good cherry red shrimp. I'm going to actually probably make this base a lot thicker. I'm just going to do sand, and I'm going to get a couple small, low-growing stem plants in here and do a very minor aquascape to that, just enough I know the shrimp don't need much. Or maybe I'll get those little clip-on things where they're like little bowls where you can put a little Java moss or some type of moss or grass in it. That way they can be on the sides or something like that. And have homes. Oh, I see another little shrimplet. And I use alder cones to keep the water stable and provide beneficial bacteria and all that, and nutrition and minerals. I just gotta find the what the heck are they called? The big leaves, the catappa leaves. I have them somewhere. I think they're under there in a box. But I'm gonna put those in any shrimp tanks. Like for this, I'd probably only do a half. I might put it in all the tanks just to be safe, because I have 12 or 13, or I'll cut the leaf in half for the 10 small 10 gallons just to add nutrients, because pretty much all these 10 gallons have shrimp except for these two, I believe. If there's shrimp in there, I'd be surprised. But you never know with me moving nets to nets. But I'd have to have a pregnant female in there to keep the population up. So, alright, let me go show you the 75 real quick, because this is at like 20 minutes now, and I gotta get ready for work in the next like 2 minutes. So let's see, let's go over here. Alright, I just literally took a big chunk, threw it there. I moved some of the other plants. Unfortunately, I lost the bala shock overnight. But like I said, I treated this tank. Looks like the angel got beat up from the convicts that used to be in there a little bit. Even though the angel would hold his own. I'm probably going to take the angel out of here. I just don't know where I want to put it. I'm just waiting for him to get more size, and maybe I'll put him in the Oscar tank. You know. And go from there. So, yeah. That's what's going on. So, I got the Fluval 404 on here. The Aqua Clear 50, I believe, or 70. I can't remember. And then two 20-gallon-per-hour sponge filters. Which, today when I get home, I'm going to take one sponge off of each. And I'm going to actually check this underneath and squeeze out the sponge a little bit. Not that I don't see any water backing up, so it's probably okay. Usually I check this once a month. Not so much the sponge filters, because you know what, the way I look at it, they're fine. Sponge filters, they take a lot of stuff out. I have plenty of filtration out of the Fluval 404. Sorry if it's darker in here. And this is the, what is it? I can't remember the name of this light, but this is like a 6-foot light. Because it would overhang that 5-foot or a little, like 5.5-foot tank by a few inches. This thing was meant for like a 150 or something like that, but I got it from the mom and pop store for a really good price used, and I haven't had a bad time with it. I mean, it seems to do alright with the plants. I also furred all the tanks today, including the shrimp tanks, just cause. Very lightly. I do like half a dose or a quarter dose on that tank, the 10 gallons and stuff like that. So I'm hoping, you know, there's some Naha grass and Java moss there and other mosses, because that tank had like 3 different mosses, if not 4 different mosses in it. So I just kind of threw it under that log right there, so as to give the plecos a little bit more hiding space. Maybe if they have any babies, the babies can hide out in the moss. Not that there's really any fin nippers. These tetras, glow light tetras, don't really bother anyone. And the angel will not bother those, from what I saw, the little super red babies, because literally the super red babies stay in the caves, the pleco caves. So, not any plecos in there, so I'm on the eye out for some Juvie super reds, because I want to boost the colony back up in here. I figured I could leave the rainbows in here, no problem. Plenty big enough tank for them. I'll leave the angel temporarily in here. I did get all the convicts out. I thought I had one still hiding, but if it's this one and it was a really young one, I'll wait. If it's a male or female, I'll be able to tell shortly. And I'm not worried about one, but once it starts breeding or getting bigger, then I'll catch it. You know how that goes. Thanks again, everyone, for watching. Please comment, like, and smash the hell out of the subscribe button. If you do, make sure you hit the bell so you can be notified when I come up with new videos or I live stream. Thank you again. Have a wonderful day.